Hopefully you guys can all see my screen here. Let's see, let me get the chat pulled up. Yeah, so as you guys saw, we posted a link up here, kind of the recent blog post. And so just kind of going through from kind of top to bottom here. The first thing we have is we recently added Google reCAPTCHA to all of our financial forms. So everything that processes transactions, we do use a CAPTCHA system by default. So if you don't have Google reCAPTCHA in place right now, there is one that's in place, but we highly recommend using Google reCAPTCHA because it's very secure. It's easy to set up. There's an article link that I wrote the other day about this. I'm going to put this in the chat, this link. But yeah, if you follow these instructions, if you struggle anywhere with this, having this work, just let me know and I can help out. But yeah, I definitely recommend doing this. It's highly recommended you guys do it. And so kind of jumping into our first big update here, I'm going to be in our developers account. So there might be some data that's kind of weird in here, so definitely ignore that. And so the first thing we recently added, as you guys know, there's a document management system. So we added a public document system. So before, documents were only member facing, accessible through the member center. And so what we end up adding is on the top level of the folders, there's now a button here that says viewable by public. So if you check that box and update the folder, there's a new shortcode in the web interface. I'm not sure where he put this exactly, but I can literally add this anywhere. So any page that you have, there's now a public document. I recommend creating another page for this, but if you click the AMO shortcode, you should see in this list that there's now a public documents. So any of those documents folders that are, so just keep in mind that if you check the folder that it's available for the public, all the files underneath will be available because it kind of flows down from the folder down to the document. So if you check this box viewed by public, it's going to appear on this public page here. So if I go ahead and add the shortcode, click update web page, and then go ahead and open this up, you'll see now there's like a public document system here. So yeah, we created this because some people were asking if there's a way to do public documents, and we end up tying this into our current document system. Pretty big update, but let us know if there's any issues with it or if you need help with it. And then so going on to the next update here. So we've had some people ask for if they can do basically a different dues PDF logo depending on what dues type people select. So keep in mind, this feature only works if you do what's called like a member, like basically when someone renews, if you only show them the member type, like some people have it where they can select a list of the different, basically the different dues types when they're renewing. It doesn't work for that setup called open-ended dues. It works if you're using like a specific dues type for a specific member type. So if people only select one, like it matches up the member type to their dues type when they're doing the renewal. This is where that feature works. So if I open up one of these dues types on the dues details, if I open up 2022, there's now a override PDF logo for this dues detail. You can click here to view the uploaded logo. So by default, that's not probably the best logo, but by default, you can basically override this and put a different logo per dues type PDF. Yeah, this is good if you have like, I don't know, some groups just do it differently. So Ellen asked, can you attach documents and messaging? I'm going to get through the updates here of what we've recently added, and I'll get to kind of your questions here. So when I'll answer Ellen's real quick. You can, when you create a message under member management messaging, there's an attachment here. So if you're sending out messages here, you can definitely put an attachment. But I'm going to continue on to the updates here. And at the end here, I can definitely go over any questions you guys have about AMO and any feedback or suggestions for further updates as well. Because we're kind of rolling through, as you guys have been following the last few quarters, we've been kind of rolling through different requests people have had. So the next thing that we added is new shortcodes. So there's two new shortcodes. One is that public Let me get back to a web page here. So one for the shortcode updates, we added the public document one, but now we actually, there's the sponsorship system. And previously, if you set up different sponsorships here, when you put in the shortcode to put it onto your site, it would show all the options. And now we made it so, yeah, this is actually a good one, underneath sponsorship here. So before, this is the old shortcode where it'll show all the different sponsorship options. Now, if you wanted to show a specific sponsorship, now there's one that's actually can show specifically different ones here. Because some people don't want to return the entire list, or they use like an event sponsor or something. So you have sponsorship by ID. So what you'll do is on sponsorship management, you'll go to sponsorship settings, and you'll see these are the different types here, and they each have an ID. So for example, let's say 727. You can then put this ID into the shortcode, and then it'll only show this particular sponsorship type on the front end here. Close on my tabs. As you can see down here, now it only shows the one that I actually put here. And adds like a login above here. So this is two of the new shortcodes, is the public documents and a sponsorship by ID. Jumping to the next update here is we made an update to the member management messaging area. Messaging drafts. Before, if you guys remember, the previous process was a little convoluted, where you had to open up the message, you have to go to the source code, copy the source code, then create a new draft. And so what I had our developer kind of discuss and add here is there's now a copy button. So if you wanted to make a copy of this, you just click the button. You can change the details about the subject from name. You can change the title here or the subject. I'm just going to replicate this, and then it'll do a copy. So now you don't have to copy the source anymore and kind of eliminate that. That was kind of a technical step and not the smoothest process. So now you can actually like replicate a messaging draft. And it's kind of similar. We did this with announcements, I believe last year, where you can replicate announcements. So that's kind of something we're going forward with, like making things easier to replicate. We did it in announcements. Now we did it in the messaging drafts. We did it on the dues notifications. So we're kind of approaching doing more replication. So now we have like a dues notifications with the same replicate functionality there. So if there's other areas that you think like could save some time with like adding replication feature like that, just let me know and I can definitely put it on our board. Talk to my team about it. Next, we have custom fields. This is just really like a UI kind of update. Nothing new really functionality wise, but we relabeled and kind of redid the grid system here. It used to say, like display and then required, and now we kind of created like a better table view to know exactly what this means. So for the member center, this lets your member actually change their own custom field. This makes it required, so that way it appears in the member center, and it's something they have to kind of be able to adjust. And then display only. So this is if you want to show them it, but they can't edit it. Then for the member application, this is to show them that custom field. When they're going through the renewal, the custom field data will come up and they can edit it. So if you don't want it to appear in the application, you turn that off. You can also require that this particular custom field, like this one's their birth date, for example. You can also require this during renewal. And then this one here, this is an admin only function. But we can actually, so for anyone who has like organization custom fields and organization based memberships, what we can turn on is to let the primary contact update the custom fields. But we only here at AMO, only us admins can do it. This used to be facing to the public, but people were turning it on, not realizing the implications that it had. So if you do have like an organization custom field that you want your primary contact to be able to manage and update, so for example, if I just open up like this one, you can check. I can check this box from my end. So just let us know if you want your primary contact of your organization to be able to update custom field data for the organization. Yeah, let's get into the next one here. Okay, so also to the sponsorship area, we now added sponsorship custom fields. So as you guys know, with our custom fields, we have it under member management. We have event management custom fields. We added it to the job board. We added it to the donation system. So we're implementing custom fields where people seem that they want to collect further information during these processes. So sponsorship is the latest area to now have custom fields. So basically, it's similar to the other areas in AMO. It's pretty straightforward where you pick your different field type, whether it's like single select, then you can like make different options like that. This would be one example of a custom field. Probably not for a sponsorship, but you can now collect certain information when someone's now filling out a sponsorship record. And then to kind of facilitate this stuff, we have our full REST API. And so we made a couple updates to our REST API to reflect the new sponsorship stuff. Because as you know, if we start to add things like sponsorship custom fields, and we have to make sure that the API also gets that update. So now there's an AMO. This list is only going to grow. So let's see, AMO sponsorship, scrolling over it. Yeah, custom fields and then custom field values. So these are two new API additions to facilitate that there. I'm going to jump to the next update here, which is the reporting update. So on individuals and organization reports, previously, to find expired and active members, used to have to kind of do some mental gymnastics here with the pay through date. So you'd have to do something like, put a date in the past and then put a date as of like yesterday to find anyone who's expired as of yesterday and far into the past, and kind of the reverse. If you wanted to find like active members, you'd put a date of today and you'd put like a date far into the future, like 2099. I don't think I'll be around for this year, but yeah, so this is how it was done before. And what we ended up doing is we added a new member status area where now that logic happens based on this toggle. So if I click active members, this now does that kind of like logistical like lookup on the pay through date. So it'll take today's date and then anyone who has a pay through date in the future, and then return a list of those people. So if I click get report, this shows me 14 people that are currently active. And then if I did the reverse, where if I did expired, this now does that same logic where it grabs the pay through date as of yesterday and anything in the past. That way it's easier to do the quick reporting of who's expired, who's active. The previous process was a little convoluted, so I'm hoping that helps you guys out a lot, because that was something that a lot of people kind of came to me with, saying that that's kind of an annoying process, and I totally fully understand that. So hopefully this will help. So now we have it on the household or the organization as well. So active and expired members. Cool. Thank you, Jackie. That's the kind of stuff that I like to tell my team, that these are the kind of things that we're trying to focus on to make things smoother, more efficient, less steps in between. Like that's kind of been a focus of ours the last few quarters here. Yeah, and then there's a few other minor updates we did to the reporting area. For the organization report, there's a spreadsheet down here called Excel spreadsheet with individuals. And before it did not include individual custom fields, and now it does. So now individual custom fields are returned along with the organization custom fields. And there's also an association ID that all individuals and organizations, association ID, really those are numbering systems that came from other systems when people transferred over to AMO. It's kind of like if you wanted to like add like your own numbering system, essentially. There's an association ID number, and that was also not being pulled on those reports. So now we added the association ID, because basically if people switched from like your membership or these other AMSs, and they had their own numbering system, we import into the association ID field. So some people were using this number from like their older systems, and that report didn't have it. So now we added that column. Something minor, but I know some, not everyone uses this field, but some people do. Especially if they had they were on an old system for a long time. Yeah, so I'm going to open up the event here. So we made some updates to our messaging system and a little bit of the event registration process for admins. So previously, as you guys are familiar with like our scheduled email process, previously when we first implemented this, when you basically generated your list here and went to like get report, or sorry, actually, I meant to go to the messaging area back there. So if I go to messaging, when you schedule out an email, basically what would happen is if more people signed up for the event, they would be missed from that email that went out that was scheduled. And so basically, it wasn't exactly working right. Because, as you can imagine, it's kind of a lot of work to go back and create another scheduled email. So what we end up doing is if you go to schedule an email, you get two options now. It says select recipients from a current list of attendees or select recipients from attendees matching your search criteria at the scheduled date time. So if you select this one, what it does now is it'll actually loop through the criteria that was originally set up. And right before it goes out, it's going to grab an updated list of those attendees. It doesn't email check if someone has a bad email address, which looks like there is for those records, but it tells you what the criteria is. And so when this runs, it'll grab this, it'll basically run the query once more before it goes out to make sure it grabs an updated list of all the attendees. This feedback came from Arizona AZHQ Holly over there. So definitely extra thank you for her feedback on that. We basically implemented that to make sure that, if you schedule something, it just makes sense that it should grab an updated list before it goes out. That way you don't miss anyone. Yeah, glad to hear that. I appreciate your feedback there, Jackie. And then the other one that we added, actually, I think this came from Jackie over at Beacon AMC. I believe they and Katie over there, I think they brought this up to us, and we implemented this where if you were, sorry, I'm actually supposed to go to an event. So on an event, when you used to register as an admin, if you did a complimentary, so for example, if I just look someone up here, I just register anybody. There was an option here. There is a basically if you did a no finalize. There's a no charge or a complimentary, and before there wasn't an email. You weren't like basically it still emailed people who are complimentary. So we made a slight adjustment to if there's a complimentary or no charge, you can now select to not send an email. Previously, it always sent them an email, and we actually had this. And yeah, so we basically added this because our other systems, or if you were paying any other way, we did have that. So we just had to add it to the complimentary system. Yeah. Let's see. So Catherine asked, I love that it reruns the criteria for an updated list and event messaging. Will this ever be added when scheduling an email within the general messaging menu? That's actually a very good suggestion. I'm going to take a note on that. And I will add this to our list. And this is the kind of feedback, this is what really helps us, like your guys' feedback is, what we rely on here to like keep things pushing and, you know what I mean, kind of add features that are good for everybody, especially when I have multiple people asking for stuff. And if it makes sense for AMO core, we're always happy to try and make that update happen. So thank you for your feedback there. I just added a note to our board here, or to our development board to say, to mention maybe adding that functionality to the general messaging, because I don't think it currently does that. So yeah, no problem at all. Thank you for chiming in there. And yeah, that's exactly like when we do an update, like I like to hear like how people can envision like it working differently or other parts of the system. Like the custom field stuff, we added that to member data and then that eventually ended up going to events. Now it's on sponsorships, job boards, those are the kind of things that, we like to kind of reuse and add to other areas if it's got good functionality. Yeah, and I'm going to jump to some new merge tags here. So this update came from a few people asking for this, specifically usually in the dues notifications, but now it's in all of the merge lists. So this came over from Lexington and Bourbon Society, one of our recent AMO clients. Previously, you used to be able to append the username down here. And so we got some feedback from people who said they want to control the placement of this. So now we added a bunch of new merge tags. So we added a username one. We added a individual paid through. We added a organization paid through. So these are all 3 new merge tags. So basically now you can say like, you can control where the username is in the message instead of just throwing it on the bottom. We did leave this in place because, we don't want to remove this for people. So this is still checked if you use this before, but now you can go ahead and uncheck it and use the merge tag, or if you still like it at the bottom, you can definitely keep it there. But now you can like control the placement of this wherever you want. You could like put text here and say, here's your, you do like, here's your login info, or you can do their pay through date as well on the dues notifications here. But this is in all the messaging. Anywhere where you see this merge drop down, those should be in that list there. Yeah, and I'm kind of getting near to the end of my list here. So the other thing that we added is we made some more updates to the custom directory builder. So on the member directories, if I open up here, we added basically a couple different things. So I don't know if not everyone's using this, but we do have a build. I like to call it build your own directory. And basically you can build out your own custom directory. You can pull this in via shortcode to the web page. So I'll pull up one of those so I can show you guys some new functionality here. So if you go to search options, first thing we added is we added the option to turn off the bio button. I believe this came from Kentucky Association Master Contractors, if I remember right. I think they asked for this. I think a few people did too, but so basically, let me pull up one of our directories here. So you can see the way the directory is tied in is you get a shortcode and you put that directory ID in place. And it's kind of like something we're going forward with these more specific shortcodes is we're going to start basically using that ID field to target different things specifically, kind of like what we did with the sponsorship, right? Like, so I can do like specific, like by ID, like custom directory. So this one's ID is number 7. If I go back to the directories here, you'll see in the column here is the ID field. So we pulled in ID number 7 into here. If I wanted to pull in ID number 8, for example, like the organization directory, I could do that and just change the number here. So that's how we tie in the custom directories to the front end. And then some of the new options we added is you can turn off this bio button. Oh, this is a member only page. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me log in as a member. So yeah, so you can also like, if you put this shortcode on a page that's protected, then the member has to sign in to view this page. So there are like, page permissions there. And then I'm just going to refresh this now that I'm logged in. Actually, I can just do the preview. I probably have to, our developer account has a lot of stuff in there that's probably getting in the way here. So this is the custom directory. So when you search, there used to be a bio button here. And so now you have a toggle. For this, if I check this to yes, it'll add this back. You can see there's bio button. So you get a toggle to turn that off now. And then the other thing that we added is we added a allowed download search of results. So a few people asked us, basically, can you do like a print of these custom directories? And our standard directory does have this functionality. So we end up adding this as well. Now, if I look here and then do a search, maybe this isn't on the preview. This is kind of a special like preview page. Let's see. Yeah, so it's right here. There's a download button now. So basically this returned results list, if they click download, it's going to download it to a spreadsheet. So people can actually download the results that they got from this directory. So this is like a return of that list. So it'll give them all the different information. So this is like an Excel download for the custom directory. So that way, if you have members who like, hey, I want to like, download the results here, and be able to view it, they can do that. And then a couple other things. So if you guys are familiar with setting up these different data fields, if you click into these data fields, you get all these different bubbles. So we added a couple new ones. We added a pay through date and we added a join date. So now that way you can actually, there's a pay through and there's a join date. So now you can pull those data fields into the custom directory system. Yeah, and then the final update I have here, and then we can kind of just have an open session here, is for our mobile app PWA, which is, this is the only premium add-on to AMO. This is, if you guys are interested in hearing more about the mobile app or PWA, just reach out and we can schedule a demo for this. But this is something we added to our PWA, is there's now a forgot password or forget your password. Might change that to forgot. But yeah, now that does like a forgot password if someone doesn't remember their member account. Before we didn't have a forgot password, but no one mentioned it to us until recently. So that was a pretty easy update. Yeah, so that's all of our Q1 updates here. I'm going to post the blog post link here if you guys want to review kind of what I did. I want to make sure I did this webinar so I can cover it more in depth, but yeah, so I definitely appreciate you guys' feedback. Are there any certain things? Okay, is it possible to have the ability to add more than one attachment on a message? So Jackie asked this. At the moment, no, there is not a way to attach multiple attachments to a message. I will go ahead and add that to our development board. I think someone has asked about that in the past here. So I'm going to add that for. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff I like to hear. So if you guys have any questions about AMO right now, or any like feature feedback or further questions on the stuff I covered, this is a good time. I can give you about 10-15 minutes here if you guys want to like think of any questions. But like I said, we definitely appreciate you guys being on AMO and all of your guys' feedback. There are a few more updates that we're working on. So one we're adding for one of our clients, one of the clients on AMO's SICB, Society for Integrative Comparative Biology, they mentioned a multiple donation system. So right now, when someone is doing a donation during membership renewal, they can only do a donation to one fund. We're actually right now rewriting our donation system to allow multiple donations. So that's one of our big updates we're working on. Another big update we're working on is a Zapier integration. So now we're actually working on, instead of us writing integrations, yeah. So we are writing a Zapier integration, and so it's kind of the integration of integrations. And let's see. So Jackie asked, what does bulk removal members mean when running reports in the member center? Okay, so this is actually an update we did. I don't actually recall when exactly we did this update, but there's now a bulk removal individuals. And so we added this to basically help people clean up their databases. And we also do have it on the organization report. So basically what this does is you can filter through your data here. Let's say you wanted to delete everybody that had like a pay through date far into the past, right? You could filter by their pay through date. Let's say I might not even get a returned result here, but let's just say I want to like remove people that have expired, right? You could do bulk removal of organizations. And you can also do this on individuals as well. You click get report. Technically, this isn't a report. This is actually like a removal process of basically being able to like select like these and then remove the checked organizations and individuals with them. So I think that's what you're talking about there, Jackie. I think hopefully that's what you're talking about. But yeah, we also have it on the individual. So if you wanted to like say, I don't know, yeah, let's say you have a certain member type or something like expired member type or something like that, you could run a report. I probably didn't get a result. Oh, actually, there are some people. Yeah, no problem. So yeah, so then you can just like select this, click remove checked record, and it'll delete. So it's just basically like a bulk delete system. And we did it because some people had a lot of like old data in there. You need to clear it out. That's the way you definitely handle that. That's a great question. Thank you for asking that. So Lynn, I thank you for joining here. She asked, can you combine two attendee lists from one event to another? It's a really good question. Under event management, we have reporting. So, okay, so in events, this gets a little confusing because in events, we do have a reports area, right? these reports are specific to this particular event. If you go to event management and go to reporting here, this is where you can do. I think my headset, can you guys still hear me? Hopefully. I think my headset just turned off on me. I'm not sure why. Yeah, so here you can do cross-event reporting. And so you could say like, okay, let's say you want to see like, and this is an attendee report on here. So you can say like, let's say I want to see all attendees from, I don't know, let's say all these conferences. You'd select these and then click get report. You can bring this out to a spreadsheet as well. So you get some more options on here. Or sorry, output type. So you can do like PDF, CSV, Excel. And then this returns a list of all the attendees that have attended across those different events there. Is that what you're looking for, Lynn? Yeah, I think that's what you're looking for, but this specific reporting area under event management is for cross-event reporting. So there's not as many. So you said, how would you combine the list? Maybe I'm not fully understanding. So if you're talking about if you're running a report here and you grab an attendee list, right? Click get report. This returns 101 people for this particular one. I mean, without this attendee report, maybe I'll need to go through an example with you, or maybe more specifically, we can always do like a follow-up meeting if you want, and we can go over that more specifically of what exactly you're looking for. If we don't have it in here, the other workaround I would recommend is export them to a spreadsheet. So export one events. Okay, so you're saying like basically now upload it to another event list. So you're saying download the attendee list and then import it into another event. So the only place we have to be able to import, okay, I understand. Yeah, so so in the event, there's a courses area and you can import course attendees here. I think we should do a follow-up Zoom meeting so we can go over this specifically, because you can import course attendees. You need to make sure, the only thing is that to import a list of people who attended the course, you have to include a column of the registration ID. So I don't know if that's possible because the registration ID is going to need to be the one that's on the event. But I think, yeah, we should definitely talk about it. Maybe do a quick Zoom meeting and maybe I can go through the specifications of what you're trying to do. And we could definitely connect with my developer and talk about it further. I think I'll need to see like exactly the process you're trying to do here, but I think I have an idea of what you're trying to do. And I don't think at the moment it's currently possible. Yeah, we'll definitely connect after this. Yeah, well, thank you for bringing it up because, I mean, you can import people, but it's kind of particular about what you need to have in place for that. Yeah, well, if does anyone have other questions or any feedback about some of the stuff here? If you guys don't, I can keep talking a little bit about kind of some of our future plans. Like I mentioned, allow multiple donations. We're working on just kind of a sneak peek. We have the display areas. We're actually working on a really big update for this to now do display areas based on member type. That's something that over the years people have asked me for quite some time, and we kind of figured out a good way to do it. So our developer is currently working on multiple donations, doing a member, basically display areas by member type. And we're also working on a way to connect group committees or groups and turn groups into or turn a committee into a group. So we're working on a way to combine those things. But yeah, those are that's kind of our major updates we're working on in Zapier integration. But yeah, I definitely appreciate you guys joining today. If you guys have any further questions about some of the stuff we cover, you can definitely reach out to support. You can reach out at help@mohq.com. You can always email me, but honestly, you'll get a faster response and support because my email honestly gets a bit buried. But thank you guys for attending today. I definitely appreciate it. And I will be sending out this recording as well and post on the site. Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Catherine. Thanks everyone for joining here today. Appreciate you guys' time. And, like I said, reach out if you need anything.